welcome back to another episode of The Real Deal.
Your go-to podcast for insider info on the real estate market in Brevard County.
I'm your host, Christina Geiger, broker and owner of GT Realty.
There has been a lot of buzz lately about the new National Association of Realtors ruling. We're going to call that the NAR from now on. We're going to refer to it as NAR. And we're going to talk today about what that is and how it impacts you and us.
Joining me today are some of my talented agents. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
I'm Lauren Snyder. I've been in the real estate industry for 9 months and with GT Realty for 9 months.
Hi, I'm Richard Skidmore, Florida native and the newest member here at GT Realty.
Hi, I'm Amy Steiger. I've been a realtor since 2010, licensed in Wisconsin and Minnesota before Florida, and been with GT Realty for the last 2 years.
So today we are going to explore the NAR rulings, which has caused a lot of confusion, not just amongst buyers and sellers, but it's also amongst agents. So let's get started.
Sometimes I wonder if it's more confusion amongst agents or if it's truly a lot of confusion amongst the buyers and sellers.
I think the buyers don't really know what it means. I know that you had somebody recently that, how did that go?
Yeah, I actually had a buyer recently. So the NAR ruling basically has made commissions, it says it's made commissions negotiable, which the truth is commissions have always been negotiable.
Right.
It's nothing new. This is just something we never talked about before. What it basically says is that now as agents, we have to negotiate that out privately. It can't be out there for the public to see what those commissions are. So buyers have kind of taken this and interpreted it as the sellers are not going to offer commissions. And while that may be true in some cases, there may be some sellers who choose not to pay a buyer agent commission. For the most part, that's not what we're seeing. But
we've got two right now that, you're closing on one, I'm closing on one, and we basically, it's just a piece of paper that is between this brokerage and that brokerage.
Yes.
So right now, it's not involving the buyers and sellers at all, because the sellers that we work with are still agreeing to buy, to compensate the buyer's agents, which is, people that we work with.
Yeah, but the unknown out there I think is confusing for the buyers. And so I recently had a call from a buyer who was asking specifically about a home that I have listed and wanted to see it, but didn't know how they could see it because their interpretation was that they couldn't use a buyer's agent. Because they would have to pay that commission to the buyer's agent and they couldn't afford to do that. So just explaining to them that that's really not the case. The seller is still offering that compensation as the bulk of sellers are, I think. I mean, we personally, I don't think any of us have seen any sellers that aren't offering that compensation.
No, and that brings me back to my point is it's also new, so we don't really know how it's going to affect the market, but it seems like it's causing more noise and confusion amongst agents and brokerages than the actual consumer base itself. I think the process is still the same.
I think there's a lot right now that buyers in general are confused over.
Right.
I mean, between the election, you've got the the interest rates, you've got a lot of confusion. This is just another element of confusion that, talking about it too, is obviously, it's healthy for all of us to kind of work through it because it is a lot of new types of things. So right now, basically, we've got a document that we are having buyers sign that states that they are working with us exclusively as agents. And then in that document, basically it's going to outline what the commission looks like. So for that. So that is an element definitely of that. The other part, is that we just can't promote it on the MLS system, which is how traditionally we have relayed how, you're getting compensated as far as a buyer's agent goes. I was driving by yesterday and I happened to see a handwritten sign on the top of a real estate sign that said 2%. So I know that we've kind of seen, you had made a comment that you guys have seen some interesting things. What have you seen as far as compensation, how it's being shown?
So in the real world, not a lot. I mean, it's really mostly been texting back and forth between agents. So that's really what's happened is it's become something, it's just an extra step for us that we need to reach out to the listing agent to find out what that compensation is going to be. But I have seen some humorous things like
some memes and things like that.
Where they mowed 3% into the yard, which, I mean, that stuff is, it's funny, it's cute.
It is.
Or in the narrative where you spell things out like, I would love to talk to you so that they know it's 2%, just
right.
just cute things.
Okay, so ultimately, we are still figuring this out. If you have any other questions or anything about these types of rulings, we're happy to answer any questions that you guys have, and just, contact us directly, because we're not here to basically explain the NAR rulings at all. We're just, here to just kind of shine light a little bit on the confusion that's happening.
Yeah, and all in all, nothing's really changed. It's just the way it's being presented has changed. The market has always dictated what that percentage is, and it's just the way that it's being communicated now is the thing that's changed, but the process is still the same.
And I just think there's been a lot of misinformation out there, and I think that's the biggest thing that we want to get across to people is, if you're confused about it, if you have questions, reach out to an agent, ask those questions. We're available to talk to you, and if we don't know, we'll figure it out, and we'll let you know, because this is new for all of us, so we're all figuring these things out right now.
And we've always been transparent as far as, commissions go. There's no surprises. We've never done that. When you go to the closing table, you know exactly what we're going to charge as far as our services. So that's never a mystery.
Yeah, but I think everybody's perspective is different, but for me, I feel like the bigger change, the notable change is the agreement form now. The percentage, like, that's always been dictated by the market, hasn't really changed much, but having to sign the form now just to see a property, I think that's the part that
well, and it's for Florida, because other states have had these forms, they're just not here in the state of Florida. So
Right.
Amy's familiar with them from,
Right.
from her experience prior to Florida.
Yeah, it was actually a strange thing coming to Florida. From Wisconsin and Minnesota both have buyer agency agreements. So what that is an agreement that you sign as a buyer with a real estate agent, saying, like, I'm going to work with you, we're going to work together, we're committing to each other, kind of. So it was very strange for me to come here and not have that, and have it be so much more of a fluid market where buyers kind of moved amongst different agents. That was very, very different for me. So that's very familiar to me, to have a form like that. I think where it's uncomfortable for me, and probably for some other agents too, and even for buyers, is that we have to sign that before you ever see a property with us.
I think a big misunderstanding though is I think some people may take that as, if I go with this buyer and I sign this form, I'm locked in with them, which isn't the case. Like, you can sign one that literally locks you into a contract for 6 hours just to see a property, but you don't necessarily have to stay with that brokerage if you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah, so I think that at the end of the day, the message is still the same. It's important for buyers to use a buyer's agent, because this is a confusing process. There's a lot that can go wrong in a real estate transaction. We see stuff all the time. I mean, Lauren just went through some heavy negotiations, so
Very heavy negotiations.
we would not want to see a buyer trying to navigate that on their own. So you still want to use that buyer's agent, and we want to encourage you, don't let that piece of paper
protect yourself and make the experience and the process way easier.
Yes.
It's really not changing anything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, and one thing, as far as we have kind of talked about this as a group, is how difficult it is when you've got a listing and then you're also representing the buyer. So that is also a part, we hear people saying, well, I'm just going to go to that listing agent to represent me. And then, kind of give your experience on that, because I've had my own and I know how I feel. It's very difficult to be unbiased. We are human.
Yep.
We've already established the relationship with the seller, and then you've got a new person that comes into the mix, and that it's very difficult to be completely neutral. As hard as you may try, it is very hard to for me, I don't know, that's me. I don't know how you guys feel.
I agree. I think it's awful. And I think as a seller, it can be a little disheartening too, when now this agent that you hired to help you is also helping the buyer, and they can feel
Which we are transaction agents.
We are.
By, the nature of what we are in the real estate business. And a lot of also buyers don't necessarily understand what that means. The whole transaction agent, what does that mean? We're here to facilitate the paperwork, but we're also humans. We're not robots.
Yeah, and I've heard you say before, Amy, that you would, even though there's more incentive in it for you, if you were to be able to work that way with both sides, you'd rather just not. You would forego that just so you could maintain your integrity. And
because you feel that the other person that's coming into this negotiation is now on fair ground, because they have an individual that is also, part with them. So you don't just have one person that now is trying to divide themselves between two people. One that you don't know and one that you do know.
I've always equated using a listing agent to going to court with the opposing team's attorney. Like, if you were going to court, you got sued, rather than getting your own attorney, you just use the people that are suing you, you use their attorney. That's what I've always kind of equated that
That's a
to.
great analogy.
Because
Yeah.
because
It
it's,
doesn't make sense.
yeah, it doesn't make sense,
No.
right? You'd never do that. So why do people do that with homes? That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. Get your own agent, use a buyer's agent that can help guide you through this process. There is no more risk right now in getting a buyer's agent than there was a few months
Before
back.
and
It hasn't
then
changed.
obviously.
Nothing
Yeah.
has changed.
It's time for GT Realty's Home of the Month.
Hi, I'm Lauren Snyder with GT Realty, and I'm so excited to show you this home. It's 2779 Avalonia Drive. When you first come in, you're going to be greeted by this amazing kitchen. It's huge and spacious, and it has been updated with all new appliances, which are stainless steel. This is my favorite part of the house. It's the primary bedroom. It's spacious and so functional. You could put whatever you want in here and do whatever you want and have it totally customizable to your own personality. The primary bathroom is also located in the bedroom, which makes it really easy for getting your day started. You'll also notice the beautiful tile floors, double sinks, a spacious shower, as well as a walk-in closet that fits everything you could possibly ever have. Through the living room, you'll find yourself on this screened-in patio. You can use it for anything, whether that be entertaining, games, decoration, whatever floats your boat, all while looking at a lakefront view. Located in Melbourne, you're close to top-rated schools, entertainment, fine dining, the Florida coastline, and also easy access to the highways. It's not just a home, it's a lifestyle.
So that's kind of a brief, I guess, discussion about the NAR rulings. We're hoping that this kind of gave you a little bit more comfort as far as moving forward, in the real estate market. And if you have any other questions, we ask that you just call us direct. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Real Deal.
If you enjoyed the episode, you can find us on our website at gtrealtyfl.com or on social media at gtrealtyfl.
And if you have any more questions on this topic or would like to discuss it further, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to talk about it with you.
Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys next year.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays.
Christmas.
Episode 3, take 1.